Werewolf here. I was thrilled to find this book on werewolves by Tarl Warwick, better known on the internet as Styxhexenhammer666, one of my favorite influencers, until I noticed it was only edited by Tarl Warwick, not written. The book was in fact written by Sabine Gould. I don't know. In the year of our Lord, 1865, which actually made this even more intriguing and mysterious to me. This was the era when most books were written around candlelight and by fireplaces, and the night was even darker. Now, the author doesn't believe in werewolves himself, but he writes a book that feels like a compelling horror story at times. Some of the more recent, as of when the book was written, accounts even feel like I'm reading a news report of something disturbing and graphic that happened. It begins with him, the author, traveling on a dark road in an unfamiliar town where the locals take werewolf legends very seriously, and I'm left wondering what's going to happen as I turn the page. The book explores werewolf legends and other shapeshifters from around the world, as well as more recent accounts, which the author attributes, he believes, to madmen with some psychological conditions that may have caused them to believe they were wolves or other animals. He offers explanations, such as the North's berserkers may have merely adorned animal skins because it made them look more intimidating. But at no time does he belittle in any way those who seriously believe and fear werewolves. Interesting to note, he writes of a Norse legend of a guy named Sigmund who gets involved in shapeshifting. And of course the name brings to mind a very Freudian association. Obviously Sigmund Freud, one of the world's most famous psychologists, at the time of the writing was not many years old. And, of course Sigmund with his subconscious controlling our behavior. And, Sigmund Freud actually wrote a book, The Wolfman, though it wasn't about a werewolf. It was about a guy who just had all these deranged psychotic issues going on. There's a lot crammed into this 174-page book. Sometimes the detail gets more graphic and disturbing than I would have thought for a book from its era. Other creatures include a woman who turns into swans, and a sorcerer who turns himself into a whale to travel the Atlantic from one country to another. Now, Sabine Gould was a Christian priest and a prolific talent, having written many other books on the occult. He wrote music, his most famous song being Onward Christian Soldiers. And now, this book is a great price. I was happy with the quality. It contains an introduction by Tarl Warwick. However, I do have one major criticism of this edition. There are no illustrations. Now, the original book had some very vivid and disturbing illustrations, woodcuts, ink prints. Most editions of this book don't, or just have this one picture that I find very disturbing. But, you could always go on the internet and find the original woodcut pictures if you want. Another thing that I like about this book, and books from this era very often, is I feel like I become a better writer myself. Noticing the word choice, the arrangements, the sophistication that was more common in its era, and yet it doesn't come across as particularly pretentious either, and it certainly made an impression upon me. Now Tarl Warwick, also edited another book on werewolves, the original book written in 1912 by Elliot O'Donnell. I will review that in another video. But as I said, it's overall the feeling of reading this book. I was reading it on a cold winter's night when the wind was howling in the trees. If you think you like this, check it out. And one thing you can do right now, help me build a channel with me. Click like, share, subscribe, leave some comments. I like to hear from you. And until next time, life, liberty, and the pursuit of